There is a symbol that Viking warriors carved into their weapons the night before battle. Not for decoration, not for tradition, because they genuinely believed that without it, their blade was just metal. With it, it became something the enemy could not withstand. Norse commanders documented cases of warriors who fought through wounds that should have killed them, and when asked how, they pointed to the mark on their sword. Tonight we go back to the age of the Vikings to uncover what this symbol actually was, what it did to the mind of a warrior, and why the Christian church that conquered Scandinavia spent centuries trying to erase it completely. In Norse tradition, not every man could carve this symbol. The Vigvesir, the runic compass, was considered a living object once activated. It required specific knowledge passed from a Valva and Norseseres to the warrior who would carry it. The Galdrabok, a collection of Icelandic magical texts compiled in the 17th century but drawing on traditions centuries older, preserved the exact inscription. Carry this sign and you will never lose your way through storms or darkness in known or unknown lands. But warriors did not understand this as navigation only. To them, storms and darkness meant battle, chaos, the moment when a man forgets who he is. The Vigvesir was a compass for the inner world. Modern neuroscience has a name for what this symbol produced: the anchoring effect. When a warrior carved the Vigvesir into his weapon and repeated the activation words, he was creating a psychological anchor, a fixed point his mind could return to when everything around him became noise and blood and fear. Viking sagas record warriors entering a state the Norse called grimmer, a kind of focused ferocity, where pain became irrelevant and retreat became unthinkable. Researchers studying these accounts note that the ritual preparation, the carving, the words, the act of holding the weapon with intention produced a measurable shift in how the warrior experienced danger. The symbol was not magic in the supernatural sense. It was technology applied to the human nervous system. When Christianity arrived in Scandinavia between the 9th and 12th centuries, it did not come peacefully. Norse kings who refused conversion lost their lands. Vavlor, the women who held the knowledge of the runes, were declared witches. The specific oral transmission of runic activation was criminalized. What survived did so in hiding, embedded in Icelandic farming communities who preserved the old texts under the cover of folk medicine and household tradition. The Galdrabok itself was kept secret for generations. When scholars finally accessed it in the 19th century, they found not a book of superstition but a structured system of psychological and spiritual practices that had survived 700 years of active suppression. That kind of survival does not happen by accident. What remains today is more than a symbol printed on modern Viking merchandise. In certain rural Icelandic families, the tradition of carving protective staves before moments of danger never fully stopped. Anthropologists documenting these communities in the 20th century found unbroken lineages of practice connecting directly to the medieval texts. The words changed, the context shifted, but the core act, taking a mark, making it yours, allowing it to create an unshakable center before you face the unknown, remained intact. Because the Viking warrior understood something fundamental about human psychology, that a man who has anchored his mind cannot be broken from the outside. The weapon carries the mark. The mark carries the intention. The intention becomes the man. We began tonight with a warrior alone in firelight, carving a symbol into iron before a battle he might not survive. We end with the understanding that what he was doing was not primitive. It was precise, a complete system for building an unbreakable mind preserved across 1,000 years of conquest and suppression, because it worked. If this teaching reached something in you, subscribe and stay close. The next video reveals another hidden symbol from a civilization that developed the same technology on the other side of the world, completely independently. Leave a comment and tell me, what was the moment in this video that you will carry with you?